This old woman is a citizen of Turkey, an Anatolian. Her ancestors, descendants of Shem, the eldest son of Noah, have inhabited this land for the last 5,000 years. They have lived on this land, as well as throughout Mesopotamia. Her predecessors were the first community to embrace Christianity. Since then, from 38 AD onwards, history has recorded them as Syriac. This old woman is a Syriac, or as they say in their own dialect, a Suryoyo. She lives in Upper Mesopotamia, in southeastern Anatolia, on land acknowledged as sacred and called Turabdin by the Syriacs, in the city of Mardin. In olden times, when there were no jets, no missiles, no bombs, nor any long-range rifles, the best defense was to build fortresses on high ground. People used to build their abodes, their temples, in fact their entire towns inside the walls of these fortresses. Mardin, about which we have no accurate information as to the date of its foundation and its founders, but come across its name in the annals of history in the first time around 2850 BC, is one of these walled cities. Standing on a hill 3,455 feet above sea level, it gazes at Mesopotamia, that ocean of civilizations, over a vast plain through which the Silk Road meanders. Through the millennia, people of different races and tribes lived and governed on this land. Sumerians, Akkadians, Babylonians, Hittites, the Mitanni, Assyrians, Aryan tribes, Medes, Persians, Greeks, and Aramaeans. Following the birth of Christ, it changed hands many times between the Romans and the Persians. Later still, first the Arabs, and then the Turkish emirate of Artuklu and the Turkish states of Karakoyunlu and Akkoyunlu declared their suzerainty over this area. It was incorporated into the Ottoman Empire in 1516, and in 1923 it became a border city of the Turkish Republic. Mardin now awakes from its slumber. The marketplace is alive, even though it is a Sunday. There are now more Muslims than Christians in Mardin. These days, the number of Muslims are on the increase, but they too know the customs. In Mardin, everybody knows one another.
بمية نوم كيف هذا حجي كتني
حجي مقلب فوت رش جيران من وقت كانوا ولد عندنا
فيران زميل حجي فيران عند اولاده بعز البيت صاول السن صاول تيزا ان شاء الله نحن زي ناكل متقبز منا كمان حجي لك اي والله صاول السن.
Today is St. Michael's Day, and a service is being held at St. Michael's Church. It has been a long time since the last visit to St. Michael's, because the congregation is no longer as large as it used to be. No church fills up on feast days or Sundays. In Mardin, Christians of all creeds, whether they are Orthodox, Catholic, or Protestant, have now placed all the churches on a roster, and all worship at a different church every week.
بعد الأخ امتلأت البيعة قبل نسير اسطنبول كما يطلعون من البيعة السريان الزابوك كان يتلي عند البيعة لا ما كان فيهم محلق يجر تفوت العالم من كثر الجماعة. يعتلق ذكرت خلال عند الجماعة ما كانت تلحق تفوت من سمع غلبي كل بيعة كذي. النقل ساعة كلها تنجول اسطنبول ولون بقى قليلي.
Since this Sunday is St. Michael's Day, they will all assemble there after a long interval. That's why yesterday a group of young girls and women went there to clean the building from top to bottom. Mardin celebrated St. Michael's Day 92 times. They were a large family. They would all don their Sunday best and go to the church together. Her mother-in-law was an imposing woman of authority. She spoke several languages. However, during Mardin's birth and childhood, times were hard. There was a war. Just like all her contemporaries, she missed the chance of a decent education. Still, she learned weaving. Back at her loom at home, she would weave cloths of all colors to all sorts of designs.
والله يتامى ما في حد يديرينا. كان في مدارس نصارى وكان بالصاني. لا ما الدولة ما كان فيه باشوات كانوا ما كان كما باشا. أولاد بنات ابنين كانوا يقربون أو نكي. كانوا يفوتون على الجعدة كذا صرتوا بنت 4 سنين كانوا يفوتون على الجعدة بيتنا على الجعدة كانوا يفوتون كنتوا مرة نطلع نتفرج عليه كذا. كان لما لحقت بنت 15 سنة أمي كانت تعمل جومة تعلمني جومة دولاب النبة دولاب مو في الصانع تعرفوا كنا نبرمه ونسدي. هاي كان نقل الشيء قلته بالعربي مو يعرف ربي. من اللي كان يلحق ولده يحطوا ينبه ولما يكبر يعمل في الجو من حدادين يحطون من متجيرين من عند البقالين صناعة كده كان يسوي.
Meral Alparslan no longer goes to clean the church, but she will attend the service. During the feast days, the church is crowded. Most of the community will attend the service, and there will be a large congregation. Even Zekia has promised to come, though she is still sick. If she comes to St. Michael, maybe she will recover and her feet will stop aching. It is thus recorded in the books recounting the lives of the saints. St. Michael, the namesake of this church, was famous for the miracles of healing he performed. Even after his death, people still flocked to St. Michael in search of succor. Amongst those seeking deliverance was a son of King Kutup. The king's son was carried to the grave of the saint, and he too was healed. The king then had a magnificent monastery built over the graves of Michael, of his sister Cyrus and his tutor Saint Joseph. The date was 496 AD. After the first seeds of Christianity germinated in Jerusalem, Peter was sent to Antioch in 38 AD to extend the message. In Antioch, Peter founded the very first church of Christianity. At about the same time, King Abgar V, the ruler of Edessa, a city in southeastern Anatolia, penned a letter to Jesus and sent it to Jerusalem with his envoys. Greetings from King Abgar V to Jesus Christ. I hear tidings of thy good deeds, yet there are people that malign thee and thy deeds. I believe that thou art a great man, descended from the heavens. My realm is small, yet it will prove to be sufficient for the both of us. I await the honor of thy visit, so that we can both live in comfort and peace. Moreover, I doubt not that thee will deliver me from this curse of leprosy. Jesus responded to Abgar's message in Aramaic, in the language he, too, spoke. Greetings from Jesus Christ to King Abgar V. I thank thee for thy invitation. Blessed are those who believeth in my message without first setting eyes on me. Now I have spiritual work to perform. Once I complete my mission, I must return back to where I came from. After I depart, I will send thee an envoy, and he will know what to do. Blessed be thy domains. Following this message, Adai was sent as an emissary to Edessa. The people of Edessa, together with their king, endorsed Christianity. The new religion spread quickly within the region. From the 1st century onwards, the peoples of Mesopotamia, Mardin included, mainly pagan in belief, started embracing Christianity in droves. By the end of the 4th century, the conversion was complete. The roots of Aramaic, or Syriac, the language Jesus Christ and the king used to correspond in, and which is still in use, can be traced back to the Semitic family of languages. Moreover, because it has a simpler and more functional alphabet and orthography, Aramaic was able to extend its hold in the region and replace a number of local languages. The period of its greatest influence extends from the 4th century BC to the 7th century AD. During this period, documents in Aramaic are known to have circulated in a wide geography, reaching from England to China. Syriac priests and scholars translated the Bible, and especially the works of the old Greek philosophers, into Arabic, as well as their own language. In this manner, many a manuscript lost to humanity in its original language lived on to our times. When the Arabs transported these works into Europe through the Iberian Peninsula, one of the major foundation stones of the Renaissance was put in place.
Süryaniler açmış oldukları okullar vasıtasıyla dünya ışık saçmışlardır. Yani dünyanın medeniyete katkıları olmuştur. Bu okullar öyle basit okullar değildi, yani sayıları da çoktu. Bu okullar, büyük okullar, saydığımız büyük okullar, 50 tane okulumuz vardı bu bölgede. Yunan filozofların meşhur olan Aristo, Platon, bunların kitapları çevirmişler o tarihte. Hristiyanlığa geçiş yaptıktan sonra tabii ki ilk kez dediğimiz gibi İncil'i Yunancadan Süryanice'ye tercüme ettiler. 3 bölümü o. Bir bölümü Süryanice diliyle yazılmıştı. Meta bölümü Süryanice ile yazıldı. Ve daha sonra Süryaniler o tarihten 5. yüzyıl, hatta eski tarihten tabii 200 yıldan diyelim, 2. yüzyıldan deriyi kağıt haline dönüştürerek ve deri üzerinde yazmaya başladılar. 5. yüzyıldan kalma İncil'lerimiz elimizde değil, yok şu anda. Avrupa müzelerinde, Avrupa'nın değişik müzelerinde birçok İncil'lerimiz vardır. Zamanında buraları istila ederken Avrupalılar onları almış oraya götürmüşler.
Most of these manuscripts were written and kept in the Deir Zafaran monastery. This monastery is the most important center of Syriac history, Syriac literature, Syriac architecture, and of the Syriac Orthodox Church. It is in effect the most important center of the community. It is built over the ruins of a sun temple, itself built sometime before the advent of Jesus, though the exact time remains unknown, built on the steep slopes of high mountains, overlooking the endless Mesopotamian plain, spare yet imposing. In the first few years of Christianity, this was a castle belonging to the Byzantines, who held sway over the region, and who were involved in a life and death struggle with the Persians. After the Byzantines left, the Syriacs moved in. Saint Solomon, the nephew of Abijah, who was the leader of the messengers of the East, converted the building into a monastery in 400 AD.
...1050 yılında Patriklik merkezi oluştu. İlk Patriklik merkezi 1050 yılından başlıyor Derüzafaran'da. Nihai olarak 1293 yılından 1932 yılına kadar hiç ara vermeden Derüzafaran Manastırı Patriklik merkezimize ev sahipliği yaptı.
After the election of a Syrian, Zeka Ayvaz I, as the 122nd Patriarch of the Orthodox Syriacs, the seat of the Patriarchate was moved to Damascus. The upper portions of the wall of the monastery overlooking the courtyard boasts a set of animal figures representing the 12 houses of the zodiac, which have been executed in extraordinary workmanship. These figures imply that peoples of all nationalities can join the church. Once upon a time, peoples of all nationalities actually used to live here and formed part of the congregation. Compared to the old times, Deir Zafaran remains silent and solitary. Its inhabitants are comprised of a few old Syriacs seeking refuge, a number of boarding students from the neighboring villages, a few nuns and a couple of priests, and İbrahim Türker, the deputy patriarch.
Sabahleyin saat 5'te kalkıyoruz. Dua ediyoruz. Takriben 3 çeyrek devam ediyor sabahleyin. Sonra buranın temizliği de yapıyoruz. Mıntıka temizliği yapıyoruz. Herkes kendi vazifasına göre bahçelere gidiyoruz. Saat 7'de, 8'e kadar, 9'a kadar biz çalışıyoruz. Geldikten sonra gelen misafirlerle uğraşıyoruz. Bizim çocuklar saat 5'te kalkarken onlar da aynı şey diyorlar. Devam ediyorlar, dualarını yapıyorlar. Saat 7'de, 7:30 yiyorlar. Sonra okula gidiyorlar. Buradan Mardin'e gidiyorlar. Hayatımızı böyle geçiriyoruz. Okumakla, çalışmakla, kitapla mutalaat etmekle, gelen gidenler uğraşıyoruz. Ve bazı da bahçelere gidip çalışıyoruz. Hani böyle ahsi geçiriyoruz.
Deir Zafaran remained a very important center of faith and culture for the region until the middle of the last century. The first printing press to be set up in the region was purchased by Patriarch Peter IV from England in 1881. Apart from a great number of books, records, and official documents belonging to the government, the periodical Hikmet, meaning wisdom, comprised of essays on religious, literary, historical, and informational topics, and published in Syriac, Turkish, and Arabic, was printed here and distributed all over the world. The dissembled parts of this historic printing press now await the day when they will again be assembled and put on display, while marking time in a dank, dark storeroom. From 38 AD onwards, after Syriacs chose Christianity, they never attempted to build a state of their own. They lived according to the teachings of their sacred books and set aside their political aspirations. Quite a few, in fact, abandoned worldly comforts and were beatified. It is recorded that in the 4th century, there were 300 monasteries and 90,000 Syriac priests in this region alone. Still, the Syriacs were not only recognized by their faith. History records them as good farmers, good craftsmen, and good merchants. They fascinated all who saw the results of their toils with their craftsmanship and dexterity. They farmed the soil and planted vineyards. They weaved cotton and cloth and gave color to it. They worked leather and wood to fabricate goods that were sought after. They gave form to stone, gold, and silver, and produced incomparable works of art. Syriac master craftsmen draw silver thinner than anywhere else in the world. They draw it into filaments, and they use it to produce filigrees.
ميخو غلب زحمه بشريته مصرنا ولا هر كديدا وقرشنا وسيهم برغم ثاني نقدف لنا ولا خلف الحدايا كنتو حدايد رابي كتب من هقاشكي مكتوب نقاش حدايد يعني كتب نقاش تقول نقر روحي وترقينا وسيهم بيشاكوشت ترقينا ولا وبثر قرشنا ولا برغم ثاني وبحاسينا ولدمطينا ولا لوب قرومانو دحتينا محقوي دحفة بلا شيء وعدو هاويو غلب شكل قران دوحد ميقم هاويو بسيط يعني قلاي هاويو وعدو نافقة أما كلا تاني دو قرشتين دو تير زحبة زينة خدمته أما رجع كيتو تعب دي عينو ودو قرعبية غلبي فقط خدميكم زحمة لفاشق زينة وخد اسطنبول أوقع دمد مفقدوكم مفقد تريس ميس هر كليت ميتر هذا بسيط قلاي فقط هر كم رجع جوز نوري يعني هاي ومقدي عينه ودقف دمي حمر رجع زحمة هركي شنقي غلب الزحمة هاتو شي مداتي كل كس لكم تقني ذي دوثي عود ويرهو مو مليوني وياخذ 50 مليوني لكم تقني ذي بتعبان عود وخاف ياخذ مو مليوني 50 مليوني بس 70 مليوني وبحارتاتي وعميدا بربز أزين مركي هن أزين اسطنبول هن أزين أمريكا هن أزين ألمانيا هن دركان ودو فاشينا مرجع هن عيني ديالي فيودو الجهلاني أجين ديان ديالي فيودو مرجع كيبان هم شخصي دكا
Ben bu işi devam etmeye çalışıyorum. Elimizden geldiği kadar da yani bırakmayacağız, devam ediyoruz. Bundan sonra başka diyecek bir şey yok.
Sen gitmeyi düşünmüyorsun.
Gitmeyi düşünmüyorum. Ben önümde askerlik var. Askerliğimi bir bitirip işime devam edeceğim.
Aferin oğlum, aferin. Böyle o.
واسلم ربنا يسوع المجد وروح قال القدس فشوى قدس ده
Ezel'de şimdiye kadar olduğu gibi Cibretin ilerlemet kalacaktır Rabbim
During the first century of the Christian era, the city of Antioch, where the Syriacs lived, and eventually took up this new religion en masse, became an important center of their missionary activities. While the Church of Antioch initially endeavored to spread Christianity only into Anatolia and Lebanon, later on, missionary activity was extended to cover Mesopotamia, Arabia, and Armenia. After Rome officially embraced Christianity, heavy pressure was brought to bear on Syriacs, who remained a separate church. So, under duress, the missionary activity was extended further afield into Ethiopia, the steppes of Asia, and even China. A group sailed to India and found fertile ground for their faith, thus forming a large community. Later, about a millennium ago, some Syriacs from India migrated to Anatolia and settled in Mardin. Nasra Shimesindi is a representative of the last generation of these people. At the same time, the last and only representative of the original art of printing on cloth, which has been in existence in this region for the last 2,500 years. The prints Nasra produces, using vegetable dyes and handmade wooden presses, usually depict scenes and stories from the Bible.
نحن من وقت المسيح كان يحكينا بعد من جدنا وجدادنا هو كسرنا وهالصنعة نحن نداومة ما في أحد يشتغلها هيك أبدا هم في القالب وهم زي في الإيد في القلم في الفرشة أحد مو يشتغلها أبدا غيرنا نحن أعمامي كانوا يشتغلوها أبوي سيدي هو كان يشتغلوها وكان يسوون دي للحويسم من هالصنعة كان يسووها السعنة طلع غير بقى يشتغل هذه يجي من أوروبا من هودي حويسنا من هالبصمة كانت وجحيفاتنا والحويسنا فردواتنا كل الشيء إلى فردوات البيعة نحن كل تنزع حقزع على سمناني من وقت أتاتورك كان جاء مضالية لأبوي كان يصور صورته وصورة اسمت وصورة فوزي جقماق كان يصورن وبعت له ميدالية هاك الميدالية زي كسروها راحت هاك زي مرتخوي صارت سببها كسرتها وراحت وحد ما عرف وخلانا في الشغل يكون يسيحوني لا دوير لا شيء ولا أقم على حاجة أقول لا اتركها مقصد لا يضيع اسمنا بيت شماسندي لا يضيع من هالصنعة الساعة يريد تعلم للولاد مو يتعلموا أشلا سي ومو سي الساعة فيه بن حنا يسي كذا يبروحوا كثير زي تيسويه مو يتيق يريد لا طلي وحتى يقعد لا يفتكر في شيء ايش لا يفتكر في شيء يقعد يسويه فيه متى ومرقس ولوقا يوحنا هود الأربعة أسويين وبعده خيزته في النص وأفتكر فيه وأشون تسويه أول شيء كنارة سي بعده نبدي في النص الكرة ونفتكر أين صورة تنحط وأين تتسير هودي مال ستورة البيع عني واللي خرى إنه بشي لا يجي العقل يسويه
The service is coming to a close at St. Michael's. Now the congregation, made up of almost all the Syriacs who still remain in Mardin, as well as those who have come from afar to visit, will file past the altar, light candles, and make wishes. This procession is not very long these days. All in all, it takes as long as a hymn. Later, they will assemble and converse in the courtyard. In the past, but not a too distant past, the only route to St. Michael's was a footpath descending from the slope, with steps hewn into it. One end of this path, which now is used only by those who wish to take a walk, leads to the monastery, while the other end reaches Mardin. It arrives at the narrow and steep streets of Mardin, always graced by the golden rays of sun, and at the mysterious abbaras, which provide easy passages between the houses and the streets. The houses on these streets are built with such a miraculous design that they never crowd on each other, never block each other's light.
بعد حمل بحادة كلتنا مو كمل عادي. مو كده؟
أنا من عقلي ولاد مرة ونقمت ولا خاطر عيني مرة دعوا مرة. عندي تعطيني لدوسي ليرة أنا من عقلي قلت ولاد اللي كنتني قلت يا ولاد المرحومين يا ولاد مرة.
تمام.
mana?
يا ما شاء الله. أبزع يجيب راسنا بلد. تعال.
The houses of Mardin are the products of masonry and stone carving craftsmanship that is a specialty of the Syriacs in the region. Each of these houses has been standing for hundreds, nay, thousands of years. But there are no more Syriac master craftsmen. The art of stone carving is barely being sustained by a few Muslim masters, who in turn have learnt their craft from Syriac masters, in a workshop founded thanks to the initiative of the prefect of Midyak, a township close to Mardin. Çevik, the last and only Syriac master craftsman who is alive, is retired. He just supervises some of the repair work going on in the region.
Bu ben elimle alıyordum. Amana getirdi benim önüme. Yanıma. Ben onun yerine oturttum. Bu bir kolon. Bu kolon oluyor. Gördüğünüz gibi saçlar. Bu bir kolon oluyor. İstersen 20 metre kalk. Şimdi beton yapıyor. O beton şahsen biz tercih etmiyoruz ama ne yapalım? Usta kalmadı. Bu taşları yoğunacak, yapacak kimse kalmadı. Bir tek biz mesela 3-4 kişi kaldık. 3-4 kişiyle ne çıkar? Sorma kaç çocuklar. 9 çocuğum var. 7 kız, 2 oğlan. Şimdi hepsi gittiler. Ben her sene mesela gidiyorum. 5-6 ay kalıyorum. Yapıyorlar, yapmıyorlar. Orada yerleşme etmiyor. Burayı tercih ediyorum. Buranın havası, buranın yemeği, burasının masrafı, burasının...
Eski usta kaldığı için, yani ihtiyar ustamız kaldığı için burada ekseri yani şeyleri kontrol ediyor. Mesela manastırlarda iş oluyor. Ve konuk eviler gibi öyle mesela yerlerde tecrübesi var.
Hanım birden gitmek istemiyor.
O da gitmek istemiyor. Zaten hanım gitmek isteseydi bunu götürürdü. Gitmek istemediği için bu da ayakta kaldı. Doğru değil mi?
Böyle. Ne yapalım? Ya.
This was the way the houses in Mardin were built, through hard work and fatigue, with patience and strength. Summers in this latitude are hot and dry. The sun is stupefying. On the other hand, the winters are difficult too. The winds blow hard and cold. Only thick stone walls can resist this climate. Every house has a courtyard and a liwan. Every house has a tale of its own, hundreds of years old. Each particular story is hidden in the designs and decorations on the walls. The warm and friendly chats conducted in the cool of the liwan during the long afternoons, and the memories that they rekindle, put on wings to take their places amongst these decorations and carvings.
أنا كنت 15 سنة، أنا 14 سنة أكبر كده مني أنا والله كثير قد
أنا دي 16
أنا مخبطة كده لا أكبر من تاني
كنت أنا كنت ساكن قهوة
كنت ساكن الوطن كله
كنت ساكن قهوة كم يروح يصير قهوة
تسوي لنا قهوة لو لكن
إيه
قهوة طيبة 24
للهود يصير
إيه لما كان طيب منه
طيبة قهوتنا من بيروت يا بنات خالي مروني يا بنات المرحوم ماتت في الجبريني
بنات ماري
ماري كان اسمها؟
ايه بيت الله
انا
ما كلا بنات
لا ما كلم
ثلاث بنين كان
أين الله أين الله علينا أنا عايشة لنا
يا معين الله الحمد لله
أشمينا أنا الله ضربت مشيتي لا تجي
كنت فراس كثير عالي تواملا من الباب من يقفل والله يدخل عمر القفل
إيه خاطر المكتوب
آمين
خلي من كشي قملنا بالقفلة أحد ما بقى يجي ليو هاي اليوم 6 سنين كده معه.
Throughout history, as well as being the cradle of civilization, Mesopotamia has also been a gateway to wealth, power, and the conquest of new worlds. The Christian, the Muslim, and the Jew, the Turk, the Syriac, the Arab, the Kurd, and the Armenian have many a time coexisted as neighbors, comrades, and confreres. The wealth and luminescence of the human crop of this land has encouraged those who believe in the virtue of coexistence. Of course, in every epoch there have been those few who wish to step across the gateway by force. They have destroyed the fiber of unity and peace, leaving the area in chaos. To re-establish what was destroyed required immense efforts. Years of terrorist activity scorched the land, causing widespread poverty and creating a fertile medium for the redevelopment of feudal remnants. The great landowners and the totally unplanned and feeble efforts at industrialization all conspired to leave the inhabitants of the Northeast with no land, no work, and worse, with no hope. They got on the glittering high street to the metropolises of Turkey and Europe. They went, leaving behind not only the land of their birth, but also their jobs, their workbenches, and their crafts.
ما انت تعالي مراد مراد شبيه غير انت اذا تاكلي شنو انا بجد تقبح
In this corner of Anatolia, there are a great many doors that remain closed. Every door that closes, never to reopen, commits an integral part of a story, distilled through millennia to suffocate through want of light and air.